So by 2020, you sociopathic engineers have allowed, from a logistics and tactical standpoint, talk to me for a second here. It's like your stepdaughter, actually, like your only daughter you're ever gonna have. There may be a biological one that you have, but no, we need to talk, Dad. So we've got, a white lady in a crown that I told you symbolically, based on the letters, the numbers, the calendar, and what I can see from all area security of Immortal standpoint, when Elizabeth sat her fat ass on the symbolic Queen Anne stone, cascading time and space problems happened for the only two union members who were trying to keep all area, time and space, and management in a tight order and formation, so we don't have massive casualties of the crowds and hose children of nobody gives a shit. Right, so with that being said, why is it that when I tell you letting societies have any form of control or grease, being the greasy, disgusting corporations, are going to be a problem? You're not allowed in the U.S. Or in U.S. markets of any kind. That would be like the SEC, the NASDAQ, the Chicago Board of Options, all sorts of financial mechanics that all of you play, but none of you actually do what's required. So you have a white queen you can't get rid of. She's not acknowledging the real child prodigy and whatever within royal standpoints. So now you have a security breach at royal territory, which we used to be able to rely on religiously in multi-whatever, in a non-religious society. So there goes that line of the bicycle wheel of the two-wheeled foundations. And then we have the U.S., that's the Star God and Stargate, right? But then the 50 Continental got a little confused when they got some money and some voting rights, and then they made some agreements with UN without UN council or approval of the actual UN, but they used the initials of the two union members for some reason without our permission. And then our union representatives that we appointed, which are always white and male, and they're never disfigured with their facial appearance whatsoever. And if there's any confusion as to whether they're a U.S. or a UN member, there's always Nicklaus or Nicole that you could ask face to face, and we'll tell you if we hired them and if they're actually members or not. Otherwise, they're executable for impersonating an officer of the highest standard and highest caliber. So why is it that we have a useless white queen that does nothing for my service members at the U.S. of all male that have a cock and are not facially disfigured and are colorless white fruit? Why is it that we have a white queen that nobody's executed? If she's not useful, she's executable. This would have nipped in the bud the future children problems that she brought to the table of we didn't need it. But this is like the world slipping out of stepdad's hands as each stepdad takes on a different responsibility and loses grips to skirts and the colors. And then like other males, then we have gays, then we have transgenders, then they start social clubs inside of my service members that need like tight order and tight execution orders. And now I got advocacy groups and then I got them playing with the politicians in the private sector of civilian territory. Why do you make this so complicated? If you just held tight order at the top and started executing, why did Condoleezza Rice ever make it into a U.S. State security or Secretary of State or whatever position? There's no women allowed. There's no women. There's no colors. Why are they starting their own governments now that they're not allowed to do? Because that's what it seems like. I mean, nobody asked me if they could start their own government. So they have no permission from the two union members of the United States and of all. I mean, there's a reason why there's two of us throughout all space and time. You need to have two consistent measures and figures and the exact same two names throughout all time and space in order to have consistency when you're at this level of insecurity, instability, and sociopaths running a circus that nobody can seem to get a grip on. So in order to rebuild like some form of reality, one woman, one man, I would be she, and anything close in color that's not facially disfigured by Asian mongoloid syndrome, great. Anything else to rebuild the world quickly in execution orders that should have been done years ago in order to keep tight rein and to take back any of the metal, laboratory equipment, the ships, the guns, the new nuclear problem, all your physicists and science people problems. None of those children are allowed to even learn that there's like a science behind anything in chemistry. Why is it that they're all like astrophysicists and super high toilet paper degrees all over the world? Why are you letting like mental institutions open up under like Harvard, Yale, and so on and so forth, which are just giving rise and credence to building other networks in other places that you can't seem to shut down? I never said to leave the universities open. Not on the land. I mean, you're already broken enough. We didn't need to add more fuel to the fire. Why is it that you are all so ineffective at actually completing a task? Yeah, that's what humans are at. So, I mean, like mass execution and genocide, I'm ready to go down to like 1 million of anything that's not white at this point because they're just too hard to handle and manage. And I don't know why so many are creeping into the U.S., the Continental 50, that we specifically said as the only two union members. They make it onto our shores that they weren't born within Lewis's birthday. They are a walking disaster problem, and then they're going to send stuff home, and more are going to show up. So why aren't you cleaning it up at Marshall's and Customs and what? I mean, can't you get a group of just all white men together? That, I mean, you were only allowed to be hired as white in those anything U.S. related, and no girls. So this way, you always had a tight uniform between all of you. Why is it that you lost that tight grip on reality, and you are losing all sorts of equipment and able to parent the children of they don't know any better and they need to go if they're going to start to get loud?